Greetings, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished CALA delegates. My name is Lillian Gidinji, and I have the absolute honor to be leading the Center for African Leaders in Agriculture, as you know it, which is an agro-led program. And a little bit about myself is that I like to describe myself as a gardener, and not the kind that you're thinking, but the kind that really likes and delights in cultivating the kind of leadership that we need for true food systems transformation. And these leaders come from, from individual level, from institutions. And I deeply believe that once we do that, we can have a ripple effect into the true systems change that we all want to have. And so you could consider my work sitting at the intersection of leadership, really, policy, practice, and there's really nothing that excites me more than, having leaders, capacitating leaders to step into their true potential. Ladies and gentlemen, we spent the last 2 days really unpacking what digital transformation means for agriculture, from the game-changing potential of AI, we have heard from our speakers, from how mobile platforms can transform work opportunities for youth, from financing models. We've had it all, but now this session is about how to land it as leaders. We've heard from agri-tech ventures who are shaping enabling environments, and one could ask at this hour of our second day leadership forum, what does this really translate to? What does this really mean? And so, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce this session even before I introduce our panelists. And this session is really about bringing it all together. It's about reflecting as leaders, how to commit and how to act. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to be joined by three amazing leaders who, what is even more exciting for me, happens to be CALA alumni, all of them. And so I could call this an exclusive club of CALA alumni who also happen to be our panelists today. And please allow me to introduce them in no particular order. I will start with Caroline Muntali. And Caroline is an aquaculture and fisheries specialist with over 10 years of expertise in fisheries, aquaculture, and policy management. She has led and implemented several major programs, including MC, LIMES, PEA, and PII. Karen, I'm sure you'll be more than happy to tell us all about this. And she brings experience in project planning, M&E, and like I had already said, it's exciting to know that Caroline is actually a CALA alumni, specifically from cohort 2. She delights in that, and she actually allowed us to have introduce her as that first, but she's also an award Grafs Fellow and alumna of both the UNESCO Grow FTP in Iceland and the Australia Awards African program, where she studied climate change adaptation. And through this program, she has really honed her leadership skills in sustainable agriculture, fisheries, all within the climate change intersection. Allow me to also introduce Kevin Odobo. Kevin is also a CALA alumni, and he is the founder and a dedicated food systems leader, passionate about transforming African food systems. And he has over 19 years of experience and has worked in roles such as supporting smallholder farmers to increase productivity, incomes across 7 countries in Eastern and Southern Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin is also a founder of Shamba Pro, a platform that enables small farms, business farmers in Africa to access capital while supporting resilience in climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Kevin is also a lead champion in digital agriculture community of practice, which is also one of the communities of practice that is CALA alumni led. Finally, but certainly not least, allow me to introduce Hassan Adebafemi. Asani, if I've murdered your name, please forgive me. I will learn it. Your Sanil. And he is a food systems and forward-thinking business leader. He's passionate about harnessing the potential of smallholder farmers and driving sustainable transformation across systems. He brings extensive experience from international NGOs, World Bank funded projects, agrifinance, value chain management, and practical farming. He's a fellow of African Leadership Forum, OKP Business Scholar in Netherlands, and alumni, of course, like I'd said, of Color. He currently serves as the managing consultant at Dev Resources Limited, a firm focused on transforming systemic complexities into inclusive growth opportunities. Our distinguished panelists, being Color alumni, I'm sure you know how this leadership forum goes, and that you are specifically also talking to fellow leaders like yourselves, the 40 delegates of Color Cohort 4, who are also looking forward to joining you in whatever it is that you're doing that is transformational in your individual and respective spaces. And so please, delegates, be interactive, ask these leaders who have gone before you questions about what they are doing out there. I would like to see that in the chat, and we're hoping that at some point we really will have time to interact directly with them. And so, again, in no order, but allow me to give the lady in the house some precedence here. Caroline, as a leader at the intersection of fisheries, policy, and climate action, what is that one bold step you're currently taking or planning to take to accelerate digital transformation in your sector? And really, how does that speak to inclusion and innovation for youth? Over to you, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Lillian. It's so great to be here. So going straight to the question, as we all know, most farmers in Africa are smallholder farmers, are living in rural communities with limited access to up-to-date information, digital tools, and the skills needed to use them. Their livelihoods are impacted by various challenges, even though they play such a vital role in food and nutrition security, livelihoods, and local communities, economies. For me, leadership is in driving digital transformation means more than just bringing new technologies, but also having a clear vision, being considerate of existing policies, whether national or global, and ensuring that we bring everyone along with us on this journey. And this is to say that we shouldn't leave anyone behind. This is because we cannot transform agriculture in silos. So governments, as policyholders, must ensure that implementation stays true to what was developed and agreed upon, while partners, whether financiers, innovators, or the farmers themselves, must be fully involved at every step. I believe that digital transformation must go beyond introducing new technologies to beneficiaries, but must be inclusive and tailored to the real needs of those small-scale farmers who produce the majority of the food we consume. So going back to my board action, it is to create an enabling environment where digital solutions are co-designed with the people that are meant to serve. Examples of such platforms include in Malawi, we have the Zanyengo app for farmers and fishers for climate weather and information systems. We also have e-extension platforms, and I'm sure that even in the other African countries, we have such platforms. And we can also draw lessons from EcoFarmer app in Zimbabwe and mFarm app in Kenya. This means that truly understanding the day-to-day challenges of smallholder farmers from production to marketing and working on how digital tools can simplify how they access, share, and use information is very important. It's also about designing platforms that deliver, create timely and localized insights they can act on. And while we are doing this, we must not forget gender responsiveness. Digital transformation is only as powerful as the people it actually reaches and benefits. So if women who take up such a huge proportion in our agricultural workforce are left out, then we are not transforming anything. So my board action is to champion digital agriculture that is inclusive, practical, and tailored to the real needs of smallholders, making it an enabler for equitable growth and sustainable food systems for everyone. Back to you, Lillian.
Thank you so much, Carol. I hear you talk a lot about creating an enabling environment. I am sure where you are currently, could you please just walk us through how creation of that enabling environment in the digital space really would look like in a minute, Caroline?
Okay, so what I'm trying to say in this is that, for instance, we want to implement something with the rural communities. Sometimes you go there with this top-down approach, which
Right.
sometimes doesn't work. But also considering the indigenous knowledge, considering implementing things from bottom up, it can also help us to really make a meaningful impact. Because here we are also talking about issues to do with sustainability. So for us to ensure that all the interventions, digital interventions that we are implementing are sustainable, we should ensure that we include those local farmers that we will implement the technologies with. And we should also consider that this is still a relatively new innovation. So taking with them from inception to the implementation is very, very key. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Creation of or leveraging enabling environment is a long, protracted journey, and so we will be behind you, cheering you on in this journey. And speaking of interfaces between digital ag and the real users of these innovations that we come up with, Kevin, you've not only built a tech platform, but you're also leading Colors Digital Ag Community of Practice. Really, what's your vision for activating this community of practice beyond today to drive the transformation that we need in the sector on innovations, learning, and accountability across the continent? I know you come from Rwanda, but your impact can and should go throughout the continent. Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Lillian. The digital community of practice is our own individual and collective commitment to take forward the work that we learned in CALA. Remember, we are all CALA alumni. It is something that we, the three of us, for example, have volunteered to take leadership on, and something that we hope when you all graduate, you'll join us to also continue to make the changes that we want in the Africa food system. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you, first of all, joining the digital COP. When you graduate, I hope all of you graduate like you will, because you're very smart. So it's our commitment to try to sort of aid or catalyze the kind of transformation that we are looking to see in the food system. Agriculture faces a lot of headwinds in Africa. We have the age problem, the average age problem of farmers. We have the problem of, the import-export balance. We have the challenge of just not being able to even have food secure communities. We have nutrition issues. So digital agriculture is one way in which young people like you can actually play a role, an active role in helping that this transformation happens. I come from a unique point, as you've already said, that first of all, I was an agronomist. I faced a lot of challenges with farmers, and after some time, I decided to cross the boundary to become a tech founder to try to solve some of those problems. And now I found so many challenges as a tech founder or as an agri-tech founder that I'm now trying to play a role to see how I can help other tech founders to surmount the challenges that they face. The digital agriculture has many challenges, as you may have heard during this forum: poor digital infrastructure, affordability and cost barriers, issues around data, digital literacy, limited trust, policy and regulatory gaps. And these challenges cannot be solved by Kelvin alone at Shambapro,
Right.
or Carla alone, or Caroline alone. They have to be solved by especially governments working together with organizations and farmers and other food system stakeholders. So the COP is our simple way of saying we can take leadership in trying to build these collaborations and produce beneficial results for many people across the sector. So in brief, that's what we can achieve and we are trying to achieve with the Digital Agriculture COP.
Right. I like it when you say really the COP is just a catalyst. I also like the fact that you reiterated the fact that the COPs, and it's just not just the digital ag one. We have a couple of them. I'm sure our fellow delegates, you must have heard this from AMI. We have a couple of those which we are looking forward to you joining. It's just a catalyst, really, a glue that tries to bring the entire ecosystem together to be able to work. And if there's anything I know about you, Kevin, having interacted with you in the course of my leading this wonderful program, is that you have a knack for, reinventing yourself, right? You've just narrated the journey you have been through. And I think just a call for me is that this is exactly the kind of leadership that we envision. To navigate complexities, to reinvent yourself, to not see obstacles really as something that is a stumbling block, and you just fall and dust yourself and come up. And Hassan, coming to you, you being a systems level leader in consulting in leadership development, what structures, themes, or platforms do you believe can co-create and stay connected, keep learning, and hold each other accountable really beyond this forum? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Lillian, and thank you, Carol, Kevin, for those ground work in terms of advancing technology here. So, structures, we have already begin a structure and to keep it going and to keep the rhythm going, and of course to keep all of us accountable. We have put together the community of practice for digital agriculture, which is a platform that is dedicated to fostering collaboration, innovation, and capacity building. Clearly, Kevin mentioned that in transforming or in transformation, you can't do it alone. And so we have put this community of practice to bring Carla and other stakeholders to drive agricultural transformation across Africa. So that is our mission, that is to advance digital agriculture by engaging farmers, youths, promote data-driven practices, and to enhance climate resilience through collective action. Thanks to Carla for the leadership capabilities, which has always been emphasizing collaboration, partnership, and action. So that is where the structures emerge from. And currently, we have started the Digital Agriculture Community of Practice, and we have our leadership structure that is championed and headed by Kalom alums. For the chairman happens to be my very self, that is chairing that community of practice. And we also have Caroline, which is also one of the panelists now, being the deputy chair, and of course Kelvin, who is a lead COP champion. And so this the leadership structure, and also encompasses across nations, particularly Nigeria, Malawi, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Kenya, all of those that are participating in the CALA program. And so we have national champions across these nations to help us, catalyze the digital community of practice and other practices that we'll have transforming agriculture across Africa. And so, and with also the collaborations from, coordinators from the AMI Alumni Network Manager, because we have the collaborations from AMI as well. And of course, evaluation and impact specialists represented by AMI. All of these to make sure that we are evaluating our structures and improving on the structures to keep the reading going. And so right away, we go into looking at expansion of the stakeholders to accommodate Callum Ally, other from other Callum alumni that are coming in, that we expect that will come in, especially the cohorts 4. And we're waiting for them to join this.
There are already a lot of enthusiasts. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And so from other public and private, and of course, civil society, all of this to make the structure bring in multidisciplinary perspectives across agricultural value chains. And so we don't have a criteria. I mean, one of the criteria we all know, yes, of course, you are Callum alumni, and you have demonstrated interest and experience in digital agriculture. And we also say that members who are interested and passionate about transformation, agricultural transformation, are of course welcome to this structure to expand the multidisciplinary perspective. So going into the readings, we have created thematic action points that's already on ground. We looked at youth engagement in agriculture. That's one of the themes that will be making the community of practice stick. We have climate change adaptation. We have global outreach and knowledge sharing. We have data-driven agriculture and digital platforms. And of course, all of these teams, like the big data, artificial intelligence, are the teams that we will be focusing on, and that will help us achieve transformation across agriculture in Africa, transforming agriculture in Africa. So to keep the reading going, we'll be looking at, committing, establishing the thematic pods that will help maybe focus on one of the projects as a pilot, so that they can bring in outputs per quarter. We already started some of those things. We started knowledge sharing on our platforms. We started quarterly meetings. And so we will strengthen all of that to keep the reading going. We have also started sharing our pain, wins, and failures, and lessons from the faith. Of course, Chamber Pro is one of our wins, and we have shared it across some platforms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hassan. And just going back to Caroline, a question from Faustina. And by the way, you've created a lot of enthusiasts. Faustina, Chikondi are waiting to graduate in December and join the COP. And so you already have had some wins. And Caroline, Faustina wants to know, how do you use digital innovations in agriculture, giving information to fishermen and fishmongers to guide the activities? In a second, Caroline.
Okay, thank you so much, Lillian, for the question. Digital agriculture can go a long way in ensuring that the fishery resource remains sustainable while we are still capturing it, for the lack of better word. But examples of the ways we can use digital agriculture in fisheries is, for instance, in Malawi, we came up with the Climate and Weather Information Systems platform, whereby we were disseminating climate and weather information to fishers and all fish value chain players. So here, the information was being tailor-made. For instance, the fishers were given information on when and when not to go fishing, depending on the weather. And for the fish value chain actors, for instance, the fish traders and also the fish processors, they were also given information on where to go, for instance, where to go to buy their fish, depending on the weather, when to process the fish and how to process it, depending on the weather as well. So considering that, like Malawi, for instance, most of the fishers and most of the fish value chain actors are not very educated. The information was coming to their mobile phones, but we were also considering the use of the community level structures that are on the ground to disseminate information so that they should be sharing it to those that are not educated enough.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I hate to rush you a little bit, but I'm sure Faustina,
Okay.
you have been answered, and definitely Caroline is one of us. She belongs to that COP, and we can always catch up with her. Ladies and gentlemen, as we finalize, and like I said, this session is about grounding it to the leaders that we are. It's about being accountable, and so I was wondering, again, coming to you, Kelvin. What is that one bold, actionable commitment that you are founder in Shamba Pro over the next 90 days? What is that one bold, actionable commitment would you want to take to accelerate the meaningful change in food systems transformation, and especially grounding ourselves to this topic of digital transformation and how that can then transform into youth employment? Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Lillian. I think one thing that comes out of this whole food system leadership program at CALA is that we should be able to use our organizations to advance our own initiative of food system transformation. So at Shamba Pro, we're trying to help farmers have access to a suitable finance, better contracts, better markets, and so on and so forth. And it's a social enterprise motive. It's for money. But then how do we use the tool to achieve food system transformation? One of the things that we've done is actually create an element of where we can share free climate smart agriculture videos with all users for free. And that means we don't generate those videos. We get those videos from people like Agra, from members, people like you guys in CALA who have information to try to break that boundary. A farmer in Malawi should know what is happening in Nigeria on their phones at their convenience on Sunday afternoon when they are relaxing. And it looks so simple, but just to avail free information, again, to anyone through video is one of the things that we want to do for free for all our users. And actually, I appeal to you, if you have an organization and producing videos that help in climate smart agriculture, you're free to share with us. We post them for free. And of course, we give you credit and we make sure that this information is accessible beyond all boundaries, beyond all languages, and that's something that I'm committed to do in the next few months.
Great. Coming back to you, Hassan, what is that bold move, commitment that we can hold you to in 90 days that you will uptake to advance this course?
Thank you once again, Lilia. As a leader at the Committee of Practice for Digital Agriculture, I commit to transform the COP from a passive forum to an active learning hub, where real-world pilots, real-world failures, innovations are shared across countries. This is one of the goal of the COP, and I commit to making sure that we establish the knowledge hub where alumni can share or can access resources, learn from case studies, and of course, materials related to digital agriculture. Mind you, I've started doing some of these things, but we'll commit to strengthening that. We'll commit to foster cross-learning through interactive dialogue. So one of this is what is happening. And of course, sharing of experiences among all of our alumni that are interested in digital agriculture. We also commit to facilitating the exchange of best practices. We have a whole lot from Shamba Pro, from Caroline, and from other members that we have showcased as one of our successes. And of course, innovative solutions to enhance collective understanding of our cultural challenges. Let me also say that for the new members that are coming on board, we will commit to making the COP a learning lab for them, where they can bounce around their ideas and tap from the experiences of the leaders in digital agriculture, and also help achieve the solutions that they want to, or the transformation they want to achieve. So all of these are the commitment I will see in the next 90 days. Of course, peer accountability will build trust so that who can spotlight members who are doing well. And of course, all is to achieve transformation across digital agriculture. And of course, engaging youth and particularly women to keep facilitating collaborations across projects. We did one of that by doing the World Bank digital interactions not quite long. And so strengthen all of that and keep making sure that collaborations that address these food system complexities is being done. Thank you, Lilia.
Right. Hassan, I can already tell, your passion and your enthusiasm to serve in the community of practice. But perhaps you also work somewhere. You work at Dev Resources Limited, and you're a leader in your own right as a managing consultant and a leader in your own right. Perhaps within that space, what would you say you can commit to do within your influence to also advance this cause?
Right. Thank you. Everything is, we need collaboration, right? One of the things that I'm working on is mobilizing funding to fund digital ideas, digital transformation ideas, and of course to also do research and share learnings from what has worked and what has not. For instance, we have a whole lot of digital services in Nigeria, and we've seen recently that the uptake is not as expected because of different issues. But through research that I'm working on, I commit to share learnings. One of these learning is that we need to see what works and build on that. So that will encourage digital transformation leaders to go straight to what works so that they can quickly scale up and even achieve impact that we want to achieve. So funding is important, and then commitment to sharing learnings from what works and what has not worked, because we have a whole lot of digital services all over the place, but the uniqueness is what has worked and how that will transform agriculture, because we have that challenge. And then that will be one of the commitments from our
There you have it. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We are counting from tomorrow is day one of the 90 days. And we'll be looking forward to seeing the commitments that you have said come to fruition. And Kevin, Frank is lauding you for not reinventing the wheel in sharing of technologies. And Amabel believes that the discussions around food systems in Africa often overlook the issue of waste. This is a spanner in the works, and what strategies are currently being implemented within food systems to address this challenge? Kevin, if you would park that question, as you mull around it, Caroline, coming to you. We'll come back to you, Kevin. Coming to you, fisheries is a very interesting subsector of the food systems landscape, and really one that is, I think, often overlooked. And so, which is that one bold step in that space of fisheries are you committing to take to advancing digital innovations for creation of work opportunities for the youth? That which we can hold you accountable to. Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, so thank you so much, Lillian. And as you have rightly reported, most of the times the fisheries sector is left out in a lot of conversations, and digital agriculture is also one of them. So for me, as a commitment, I will build on the leadership vision that I have to drive my institution, so that we should lay the groundwork for digital capacity building that focuses specifically on the small-scale fishers and fish value chain actors that we work with. So in here, we will start by identifying the digital skill gaps that exist among our target communities, not just general digital literacy, but also the practical skills like how to use the digital platforms for weather forecasting, for instance, how to come up with the fish market prices, and even the use of e-extension services, so that no fish value chain actors should be left behind. So we also ensure that we work with various partners because stakeholder collaboration is important to co-create training content that is simple, local language friendly, and accessible through channels people already use, like mobile
Right.
phones or community radio stations, to ensure that whatever we design is sustainable after we are all long gone. We'll also ensure that there is a huge ripple effect, because if they better access to information, it means that they will also make better decisions. Their productivity will also improve. And we should also ensure that we move towards a future whereby digital agriculture is not just a buzzword, but we should ensure that it is a real drive of decent jobs and inclusive growth for our rural youth, women, and also entire fishing communities. Thank you, Lillian.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I like the way you break it down, and I think we've been talking about, we've been hearing, especially yesterday and a good part of today, about really breaking down the digital innovations, the language, even the red tape and the language that we use to break it down to the real users of the digital innovations and technologies that we talk about. And I'm happy to hear that you're committed to bringing that to the grassroots, to the ground, and making it easy for adoption at especially grassroots level. Coming back to you, Kevin, the question I asked earlier, what strategies are currently being implemented, if you know, within food system to address this complex challenge of food waste in the context of climate change?
Thank you, Lillian. That's a tough one. I wish I was a top shot at the WFP, you know. Would have given a strategy.
Give it
But
a shot. Give it a shot.
unfortunately, I'm not. Yeah, now, but I think food loss has been like the neglected stepchild in the food system. You know, it's not politically very attractive. You know, when people think about food system, they are thinking about increasing production, about solving malnutrition, about food security. And even most people in the food system do not worry so much about food loss. And again, we're in Africa where food loss was not necessarily a huge issue.
Problem.
Now, when there's somebody who said that, you know, whenever government has a solution or a policy for everything, then there's no space for innovation. Now, it is the other way around, especially for food loss. What I see from my stand view is that there's a lot of opportunity now to turn food loss into an entrepreneurial activity. I'll give you some examples. Somebody has mentioned about circularity. We're trying to encourage people to use compost. A lot of innovative young men are turning food loss into a product of, you know, manure or compost. You know, I mean, well packaged, nicely labeled, and, you know, something that you can sell to farmers. A lot of people are turning that into, you know, I was reading yesterday about people saying, you know, onion peels can be turned into onion powder, you know. I know a lot of young people who are turning, getting avocado oil as a premium, a healthy oil from, you know, from waste of avocados and so on. So I don't give a strategy there. I think now it is the time for the innovator to start thinking how they can turn that into an opportunity to produce a product that will help the food system. By the time the governments wake up and think this is an issue, well, we will be richer and maybe we'll donate all the money to Kala to get more leaders, you know? So
Yes.
that's my outlook on that issue. Yeah.
Yes, Kevin, you've spoken like a true innovator. Call out there for all of us to actually really think about solutions to food loss. And I can tell you, AGRA is already a step ahead of that. We have a whole program called Regain that is in 7 countries of Africa that are actually we have priorities the issue of food loss, and we are calling out for innovators like yourselves to come up with solutions for food waste. In fact, in this age of climate change and looking at the nexus between the two, And so, but I couldn't agree with you more. And I can tell you the issue of food loss has elicited quite some excitement among the delegates. I have questions talking about post-harvest utilization of food. And so I can tell you that the delegates looked at you and saw that you're also a solution. I can also propose that we perhaps come up with a community of practice on abating food loss. That is a call from me to all of us. Maybe that will be the next COP. In the body of the COPs of color that we have. Delegates, I would also like to hear in the chat perhaps what also bold action that this session has incentivized you to come up with in your different spaces. I want to see some excitement. What has this session elicited in you as a leader to do in the next? I won't give you a timeline per se, that was for the panelists, but to do to move the needle in digital transformation for creation of work opportunities for the youth. We have a couple of minutes before we go, and so I'd like to hear from you. Any parting shot as I wait for the delegates to tell us what inspirations they've gotten. Any parting shot from you, Hassan?
Thank you once again. Let me, before that quickly, there's a question about how do we cascade this community of practice to farmers. Our community of practice digital solution is all about farmers, and so we're conscious of that. And but they are where they are, and we are where we are using digital, using technology, and so we need to have a good understanding of these farmers, because most times people build digital solutions from their own understanding. So this human-centered design is very important, and of course, collaboration and keeping farmers in the space of designing the solution is very, very important. So practically, we'll see how we are going to extend the structure or the membership to farmers, who are able to come on board on these structures. So thank you. Parting short, I would say that yes, digital solution, it is one of the ways that we can transform agriculture, but the farmers that we talked about, when we talk about agriculture is all hinged on farmers. And so we need to see how we can build these solutions around them and see how we can make it useful for them. One example I will give, when you transfer money, everybody uses digital transfer, USSD to transfer money. Why is it not possible with our farmers? And so that's underlying, that's critical issue, that underlying, or what I would call the primary problem there. We need to find out and see how we can improve the uptake of digital solution. So whoever is thinking about that should look at the farmers as the human-centered person that will help the design of solutions. Thank you.
Great. Design with the users, for the users. Caroline, a parting shot in a second, please.
Thank you so much, Lillian. For me, I would urge everyone to take a small step, because by doing so, we'll create a digital community that is self-sufficient and also resilient, and eventually we will transform the African food system. And we shouldn't also forget that since we work with the rural communities, there is a need to focus on mindset change. Digital transformation will require that we leave some of the things that we are used to, so that we should at least move with time as well. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Kevin? You're muted, Kevin.
Parting shot. First of all, in the next few months, we will be looking to appoint digital national champions for this COP. Oh, yeah. I'll try to be nice to Hassan so that we delay that until you guys graduate, because I can feel your energy coming in through the chat.
Yes,
and the thing is, I even feel sad that I am a panelist here. The kind of questions and comments coming in show that you guys are even more knowledgeable than some of us, and that's leadership. And finally, Color Leadership Food System is a platform. A platform is only as good depending on how you use it. That's my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it from our very distinguished and knowledgeable panelists who also happened, like I said earlier, to have gone the journey ahead of you, already doing some transformative stuff within the spaces. I hope they have inspired you to join this community of practice or whichever other. Like I said, a lot of excitement about food loss and waste. And so I hope this session has inspired you to perhaps after your graduation coming up with a community of practice that is going to solution for food loss. It's been an absolute pleasure moderating this session. I hope you have been inspired, and I wish you a wonderful remainder of this second leadership forum for CALA Cohort 4. From me, it's bye-bye for now.